Welcome to Sports Trebuchet, issue 24. I'm Marty.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Josh.
Follow us on social media at Sports Trebuchet on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at sportstrebuchetpod@gmail.com. Also, check out our podcast buddies over at Juicing the Numbers podcast. You'll hear more from them later, although they're probably worried about when they're going to get put into this show, because we actually have Bobby back into the studio. Bobby, welcome.
Thank you very much. Glad to be back. Hello, everybody.
For those who don't know who Bobby is, you can go back to issue number 20. It's called Breaking the Fourth Dimension, and I highly suggest listening to that. This is going to be a follow-up to that. So, where we left off last time, I believe Josh gave you some homework to go and do some of the research for 5G, was it? Right?
It was 5G, yes.
Okay, all right, let's get this started off hot. The purpose of this podcast, we're actually going to be bringing stuff to Bobby, too. We got questions from Twitter. I'm excited about it. It's going to be a really good show.
No,
all right, Bobby, get started.
So 5G is a new technology that is being introduced and right now is running primarily in China. Howie is the company that is actually in the forefront of creating these devices. Now, what is 5G? We're familiar with 3G, 4G. We know these from the generations of the phone, third generation, fourth generation. We started off with 2. 3G came in, allowed us to do text, voice. I believe it introduced a little bit of internet, but it was a slow speed. But 4G brought all of that around for us. With that being said, with 4G, you can download a HD movie that's, let's just say, 720 megabytes. So let's just say 1 gigabyte. You could download that movie on 4G right now at probably about somewhere between 30 minutes or less. With 5G, that same movie you'll be able to download in about 10 seconds. Because with 5G, it opens up a tremendous bandwidth. So whereas 4G is like a 10-lane highway, you really don't need no more than that. You can literally download and do everything you want to, but the latency time of 4G is like 0.45 seconds. Right. You know, so you got a small delay.
I could have used a 10-lane highway this morning.
Yeah, right. So I have 300 megabytes up and down at home, and that's about how long it takes for me to download. Is for a gigabyte, probably a minute.
Right
so
now,
5G would be screaming.
It's screaming. You're talking about the same thing, 3.6 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Well, Bobby, that should be a good thing for everybody. That means we get more. You're very correct. With most technologies, a good side and a bad side. So there's a couple of things I want to go over, because with 5G, you're talking about, again, a delay, a latency time that is quicker than you could blink your eye. That means quicker reaction times for gaming, for hospitals, for all kind of things internationally. You can have a doctor in Canada who's the master of surgery when it comes to a specific style or whatever the case may be, organ or whatever. He can literally do that operation from Canada with a machinery connected to the internet, 5G, without any slowness, buffering, delays whatsoever. Yeah. It's cool, but 5G utilizes a lot of radio frequency times 10 on steroids. So right now, radio frequency is what we use. Cool. But when you increase the amount of radio frequency the way that 5G will, then you're talking about a bombardment every second of billions of waves on your cells every second of every day. The thing about these towers are they're trying to put these towers up everywhere, millions by 2021, 2022, so that way they can move forward with it. But again, a couple of things that I found interesting. It was a TED Talk I was watching. Love TED Talks. If y'all don't watch them, start watching them because they're awesome information. But it was a guy, I forgot his name, but he said that a smartphone should be no closer than an inch from your skin, from your body. Something I did not know. I'm thinking I'm doing good if I got a Bluetooth, but again, that's Bluetooth, still frequency, still wires, and it's still in your pocket. 5G increases radiation tremendously. The increased power to operate will be millions and millions of towers will be set up across the country, new schools and neighborhoods. The health risk of 5G is so tremendous that the International Association of Firefighters got them banned. In America, you can't even put a 5G tower by a fire station. The reason why is because when they did, the firefighters, they were losing their memories. There was massive confusion. It was weakness in their body due to the low-level RF radio frequencies. Now, on top of that, 230 scientists internationally, and that's just the ones who are listed, but it's way more than that, stated that they are currently fighting to make the industry do more studies because of the current health issues that are displayed with the studies of rat. But the industry is saying that they have been doing studies, but they have nothing produced. And it's another thing when you have somebody in the industry to do the study for you.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, I found myself to be innocent. So there's 5G outside of this building, right? Have y'all been able to get 5G?
It's not real 5G.
It's fake 5G, right? Because they didn't actually replace the tower.
It's like when they say 4G and LTE is the same, or like 4G and some other one is the
4G,
same.
4G,
like,
LTE.
they're not the same.
My phone is consistently in 3G half the time, so I don't know
But you
what
live
you're
in
talking about.
Wow.
He's also got like an iPhone 3.
No. I live in East Jesus. I live
He's got
in
a
East Jesus.
sidekick too.
He's currently still using WAP.
Not the side. Yeah,
This is actually just a giant pager. That's all it is.
With more specific text.
It's just a huge Captain Marvel fan.
So
I swear I got issues.
So the radio waves that aren't being able to be seen, are they making? Would it be a safe comparison to the way that like without the EPA, without like restrictions on like factories, and you see like China or whatever, like a city in China that would have all this smog, or you couldn't even see the buildings next to one another because it's so thick. That's what it's adding to our air, but in the form of like the low frequency waves.
That's a nice
So it's
visualization.
So like it's clouding the airspace, but it's just not visible.
It's clouding the airwaves more than what they're clouded for now. Example, like you just stated, we got this big giant cell phone over here, and you're right. It's not 5G, even though it says 5G on some phones. I think it was AT&T that came out and had to admit exactly that they put 5G up there, although they're not 5G capable. Most of the phones currently would not be able to sustain the speed, the massiveness, and you will use so much data as soon as you connect, because the highway for 5G, the bandwidth, is so tremendous that you use up your gigabyte plan or whatever within moments, and then they would have to extend it. So the industry is going to have to change.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy thing, because you're right, it's like a tsunami. We're in a wave of just waves upon waves, and 5G is that monster that's 100 feet tall like Godzilla that's coming through now as the king of all waves. But here's the flaws with it. So I was listening to a Dr. Sharon Goldberg, who's a physician, biological physician, David Carpenter, who's another physician. They both stated that there have not been...
Is there a physician for anything that's not biological?
Oh, you know what? You called me. Because then it would be a physicist if I'm thinking anything dealing
I'm
with
just,
particles.
right, yeah. Like, I don't know if you could be like a wood biologist or physician. Tree physician. It's a carpenter. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Keep going, Bobby. I'm sorry.
I don't know, maybe it could be like an animal physician, veterinarian, opposed to a human phishizician.
Still biological.
So still biology. Yeah, still biology.
So what would you call, say, a geologist?
Then you're just a psycho.
Right.
Yeah, what are you doing?
And then you have real problems. But listen, y'all, because this is the part that killed me the most, the part that I found interesting, the part
Not the
that they're
5G
trying to
itself,
hide.
that didn't kill you yet.
It didn't kill me yet. It's the 5G or what it's going to put out there, because the towers will be releasing 24 to 90 gigahertz, which is 90 billion electromagnetic waves per second hitting the human body. Plants that are around 5G's towers right now, the ones that are up, because you could tell the difference because they require a lot more power to push up this wave. 4G, 3G would be like, what's the best way to describe this? Use a visual like Marty just did. So we'll stick with the cloud. So 4G and 3G would be a very light cloud. You know what I'm saying? You can still...
The wispy clouds that kind of go by that look like they're maybe like waves, nothing too big.
5G will be that country-size thunderstorm that's going to last for 10 years. It's totally different. And again, the positives about it is that we can use this technology for so much internationally, globally, not just with trade, but with health, education. I mean, it's endless. We could connect. Here's the good things that we could do with it. You could connect cars Teslas and things to it, because again, the latency is so short that you won't have the type of issue as we would now. You can connect these things, say, the bad parts, military. I know you all have seen on YouTube, you have Cal State, or is it Cal U? The university out in California that always gets the funding from the military industrial complex to work on these robots. They have robots that are dogs.
Like Boston Dynamics.
Boston Dynamics.
That's one great one, because they're the ones who did the dog, and they also got a humanoid robot.
Yeah.
These things are so advanced, but the point is that these robots still need to be connected. With 5G, you're talking about these dogs walking around with whatever the military want to attach to them. We could put guns, small missile rocket launchers, grenade launchers, whatever you want to put on it.
Ice cream.
Ice cream would be good.
Could replace an ice cream truck. It didn't always have to be bad.
It don't always have to be bad. But you understand that this could be the summation of evil tool to be used against the society control. You got drones out there already that are not man-made. I mean, no man piloting it. You know what I'm saying?
Unmanned drones.
Thank you very much, my friend. Unmanned drones. So they can easily connect these things and not worry about anything. The possibilities, you already got radio frequency weapons out there. They have these trucks that have these octagon, hexagon things on it that omit a radio frequency or a microwave that is so intense that it makes the body feel like it's burning up from the inside out, because that's what a microwave does. It warms up the water molecules, and that's how a microwave works, by heating up the food. It heats up the water molecules. It does the same thing to the body, and our military currently has different variations of these things. So my thing with 5G, it's a beautiful bit of technology that could have did a lot for us, but because of the radiation, because of the amount of frequencies, because of the lack of studies of what this bombardment of such intense frequencies, because again, you're talking about radio waves that are thick like molasses. With these same radio waves, if your 5G Wi-Fi in your home is on, they got a tower outside because they're going to be in neighborhoods and by schools, it's basically mapping out the entire area. If you can imagine molasses. Yeah. Somebody pouring it down. In
or treacle, all right?
Or
treacle. They call it in England.
It is treacle in England, yes.
I'm going to use that word for now because it sounds dirty. Right. So, the treacle.
Or it sounds like something that's going to... That a physician for a tree would possibly give to them to cure their cold
at night. No, it sounds like what Andre 3000 would say. He was like, for treacle? So, my concern when you're talking about all this stuff wouldn't even be the possibility of the government or big evil being proactive.
Undertaker?
And yeah, big evil. Evil Incorporated. And then being proactive and, making robot dogs with rocket launchers. But that much bandwidth would also allow them to use all the devices that are already there and to now have an uninterrupted stream into watching on your laptop, listening to on your phone. Kind of that means of control, I think.
Super big brother.
But you brought up, they haven't studied the 5G. And then they did, but it was like a...
mice.
Right. It was... Right. And also that it was being run by someone that had stakes in the game. Right. So who in your mind should run those studies?
That's a good question. It should be a most definite civilian group that do these particular studies. I don't want to say masters in a particular area, but I need experts to sit down and make sure that this information that y'all about to provide is correct, because what's going on is very
objective people too.
Exactly, because this could be detrimental to us. They already got studies with the mice to where it's degenerating the vision. You understand what I'm saying? This is just from regular cell phones.
Well, we have we had a study that was done in the mid-90s, before 3G was even a thing, that linked significant health problems with people living in London apartment buildings. So people who lived in the top floor of an apartment building in London with a cell phone mast on the top in the mid-90s had a cancer rate of 10 times the average of the person in England. So, radio, that sort of stuff isn't even really a conspiracy, it's just a fact. Do we know how powerful, on a scale of, Chernobyl to an AM radio,
Right.
this radio wave frequency is. Like, does anybody have any idea what that
It's more than what currently exists, is what it sounds like, right?
It's like 100
Right,
times
100%.
more. Not even 100. It's like literally, y'all, we talking about from if 4G and 3G is A and B, then 5G will be Z, and then some created new alphabet to measure. That's what we have. Like, this is on steroids. Even the towers need more power to broadcast the waves.
Well, isn't it possible, too, that everything that's getting smaller, right? Like a microchip for a computer that looks, it's the size of like the end of a pin, and it used to be the size of this table we're sitting at, this 10 by 8 table to run a computer. Isn't it possible maybe that whether these waves are good for us or bad for us, that's up to debate, but that they're able to do more with less? That if they're sending out 100, right, on 100 out of 100, they're sending out their signals, their towers, and that 100 used to only be able to power 50% of what it will now be able to power.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing different is the technology. It's the same amount of waves. Or is 5G a different
more
wave?
efficient.
It'll be a
More
lot
efficient waves, yeah.
It'll be very scary because even if making it, this is the point. Doesn't matter how efficient you make it to broadcast out the signals. It's the signals themselves that are detrimental to our health. And that's the scary part. I agree with you, though, as far as the question. I believe that it will happen. As the technology continues to progress, China is the lead right now with their company, Huawei. But eventually, America, Japan, Canada, everybody that's trying to jump in on this 4G game will continue to make the technology to make it more compact, smaller, more efficient to broadcast these dangerous signals out to us.
Can't wait for landlines to be a thing again. I don't know if this backfires.
Yeah,
Party lines, like you had up
yeah, I can't wait to use dial-up.
Yeah, get AOL again.
Yeah, I miss
They've been
that.
playing the long game.
I miss watching my dude walk across the screen and everything. Dude.
I want
Yeah, just
Netscape
get
back.
Yeah.
Give me Netscape.
Theresa Mayo.
Netscape, wow.
Yeah.
Y'all remember AOL used to give out like 1,000 hours of free internet?
I never ran out of hours. I don't know how. And I used to be on the internet a lot back when we got those AOL.
It's a free
discs.
disc every week.
It was just like you could basically use them as coasters around your house and dispose after every use, and you'd never run out of AOL discs. I don't know how they made any money. I don't get it.
They didn't. They're out
That's
of
a
business.
conspiracy. Yeah, I guess it's true.
They got bought out by Time Warner.
I thought they bought Time Warner.
Did they buy Time Warner?
They bought
I
Time
did
Warner.
not.
That was a bad idea.
Because then
Because it became AOL Time Warner.
right.
Because then they took control of Nitro. That's what the whole...
They did take control of Nitro.
Yeah, and it ruined it.
Right.
They ruined it.
Yeah.
There's another conspiracy. All right, so
they were
let's
giving
go
out
on from
this
5G.
to the Nitro fans.
Now, these wavelengths are going to feel like nitro running through our body.
Really, I'm very scared, y'all, to be honest with you, when it comes to this. They say it won't roll out for another couple of years because, again, there's only, again, as I keep saying, China's the only ones right now that's leading the forefront on the equipment and everything. But it's very scary because with this 5G, this molasses wave inside of your house just floating around, if the military, say for instance, they don't even have to look through your laptop no more through your phone. They could simply use a machine that they have to simply peer into your home looking at the radio frequency because it's so thick coming from the towers for 5G that it's literally like mapping the inside of your home 3D, if you can imagine ultrasound.
Right, because it's or echolocation.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's exactly how it looks to them when they use the equipment to peer because it's just like the ultrasound. You see the baby in 3D, that's how they be able to see inside your home.
It's like a UAV in Call of Duty.
There you go. Oh, wow, that's a... right here, Mark.
So, we have a listener
glass house.
who just showed up who's going to be sitting with us.
Hi.
Her name is Britt. Hey, Britt.
Hey.
You don't have to say anything if you
Hey,
want to,
Mark.
but feel free to jump in at any point. And Mark.
Hey,
Don't call me Mark. You're off the podcast. Get the fuck out of here. All right,
Lost your privileges.
So Britt missed a pretty deep dive into 5G. Do you want to move to some of our stuff, or do you want to do the moon? Oh, no, hold on. You go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say, do we want to move to the listener questions and then ours?
Let's do some listener
And then
questions.
the moon last?
He also wanted to touch on Saturn, I believe, too, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Sega Saturn's making a comeback.
Yeah.
It's better than touching on your
The
penis.
General Motors.
So
So tired, yeah.
All right, so we got a couple questions from listeners. One, actually, we had two from Laura and Charlotte. One of them was a result of the last episode, and she just asked to ask Bobby, does he know what a sovereign citizen of the United States is, and is he one?
Sovereign citizens, that would be like...
I don't know what this means.
It's the Moors. It's the Moors. Like, respect to the Moors, but they come through and it's almost watching like a 16-year-old emancipate themselves. It's the same thing as what you're talking about, sovereign citizen. You emancipate yourself pretty much from the marine law of the land, because we still use marine law of the land, even though, water-based, but it's still, we use it here, and we as citizens are called property. So what sovereign people do is they relinquish themselves.
So Aquaman, we're like an Aquaman law.
Right.
We're like we could both be both.
We're all Jason Momoa. We're all Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa law.
You'll hear a lot of sovereign citizens when they get pulled over by like police. They'll say they can't get pulled over because they're not driving, they're traveling in a car. So like, for lack of a better word, like
does that
loopholes
work?
and stuff.
Because if I ever get pulled over, absolutely.
It doesn't work. You can look it up on YouTube. There's like all these videos of just people like, they like videotapes themselves and everything like that, and they like record it. Yeah.
Check out the Moors. Go online and look for MORS.
Okay.
And the Moors, listen to some of those brothers and sisters. These are all day long lawyers and judges. When I say they study the system, marine law more specifically. But yes, Laura, I know what the sovereign is, and yes, in America we do have people who claim sovereignty who are from here in America. It's just like watching somebody emancipating himself from America, like a child would, 16-year-old would from his family.
Right.
And I understand. It's
independence from the national law and the worldwide, and instituting yourself into the marine law. That's
kind of like pulling yourself away from all of that. You're saying that I'm not property because these laws basically treat us as properties. Even if you sign your
It's
name.
almost like a spiritual law. It's like you're above the physicality of it.
I think we're messing it up.
Bobby's like, stop talking, bro. I'm explaining it right. You guys are messing it up.
The homework is going to be look up Moors.
Look up Moors and sovereignty.
I'm really caught up on this whole people driving and trying to claim it, because if they've got a license which states them to be a citizen of the U.S. and that state, then...
But that wasn't...
It's also, really dangerous kinds of people will be they're essentially, using his terminology, emancipating themselves from all American law. So they do not apply to the law.
The purge. It could be the purge.
But they're living in the time.
Yeah, without the murder. But,
well, we don't know.
Maybe right.
Sovereign citizens, self-described sovereign citizens see themselves as answerable only to their particular interpretation of the common law and as not subject to any government statuses or proceedings.
Okay.
So the law does not apply.
Exactly.
So you are one or you aren't one? I couldn't...
Oh, me? No, I'm not.
Not one. Okay,
No,
cool.
no.
Okay. All right. Next thing, we're going to keep it on
Shit
Laura.
out. Let's do
Laura wanted to talk quickly... to talk quickly about Bigfoot, the hide-and-seek master. Do we believe...
I love it.
A show of vocal yes or no. Do we believe Bigfoot exists?
Yes.
Yes.
No for me.
I wouldn't call it... Okay, yes.
Have you seen these gems?
Jesus Christ.
That's disgusting. Here, let me take a picture of your foot, for instance.
Nah.
No, I don't believe in... No, I don't believe in a specific being called Bigfoot.
No, but animal-like...
I do believe there are animals that we haven't registered
I
yet.
believe
It would be
Yeti.
irresponsible to...
That specifically are mammals and hairy?
No.
But kind of like...
But we all know there's fish fucking thousands of miles deep in the ocean. that we never see.
I mean, just in general, I think there are things that we haven't fully caught up with yet.
That's a poor answer. That's the most generic.
Wait,
shit
what
you've
do
said,
you...
Josh.
Wait, yes or no for you?
I said no.
Oh, you said no?
I said no.
I think
I do.
You know what? Maybe we have to wait
just
for
an animal.
we have to wait for
That's all
5G
it
to
is,
come out.
really.
The molasses will map out where Bigfoot's at, and we'll find them. It'll be
Just
done.
look at the map, Shark.
There's a couple of quick hitters here from @JCranfill on Twitter. He wanted us to talk about JFK Jr. He didn't want specifics. So let's just say, do we think he's still alive? I think no. He died in a plane crash over Martha's Vineyard. But there's a constituency.
Oh, JFK Jr. Okay.
Yeah, not JFK. No. JFK Jr. who died in a plane accident over Martha's Vineyard. But there is a QAnon belief that JFK Jr. is still out there and is just waiting to appear again in support.
Like the second coming.
The Machiavelli.
Yeah, he's JFK Jr. is Boomer's Tupac.
What? I just why?
You're right. Let's move on.
That's my question. Is why? Why is he laying in wait?
There's the moon landing, but we'll skip that because we're going to cover the moon later, right? Magic Johnson never really having HIV.
Man, somebody talk to me. He had HIV, he just never had AIDS, and whatever the medication they kept providing to him subdued it or made it to where...
Prevented it from turning into AIDS?
To AIDS, exactly. Because you could live with HIV and be very healthy.
I mean, they do now with almost no complications for a whole life.
It's a medication that they advertise on TV right now that says that we can make your AIDS drop so low that it can barely be detected.
Yes.
I said, it sounds like a cure, bitch.
So this is suggesting that he never even had HIV.
No, I think he did. It never went full-blown to AIDS because of his money.
Do you think that he potentially could have claimed to have HIV because he saw the community that he was a part of being affected by it and no one talking about it and shining a light on it?
Not at all. He got caught up with fucking being a slut. That's how he got caught up. And I believe that the fear in him was so tremendous because what was your friends now became you. Yeah. You know, we never think it happened to us, but I think that fear made him open up his pocket as large as it could go so that he can stay alive.
Right.
Period. That's what I think.
All right. Is Stevie Wonder really blind?
No.
There's no chance. I don't believe it for a fucking second. He may be visually impaired, not blind.
That's it. That's it, Marty. He is not blind.
All right, and this one, Britt, I think you might like this the best. NASCAR killed Dale Earnhardt to keep his sexuality from being revealed.
What? I haven't heard of that before.
First time I've heard that. The first time I've heard that one.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Dale Earnhardt, supposedly, maybe, was homosexual. And because that would be such a mark on NASCAR rigged, perhaps, whatever that seatbelt thing is. And send him into the wall. Because if any of us remember here, Josh is probably not a part of this group, but it was a pretty big deal when Jeff Gordon was winning races, but he was too effeminate for the NASCAR fan. Do you remember that? Oh yeah, he drove a rainbow car. He was a California boy, and everybody hated on Jeff Gordon because he was like a metrosexual. It's dumb, right?
There's so many reasons. There's so many reasons.
We're gonna hop from there. Lizard people running our country. We kind of talked about. I feel like on last episode, didn't we?
Nice.
Or no, we talked about the possibility.
I've got some stuff on that, so let's just skip it.
Okay, we'll skip that. Kyle in Texas, our producer,
fake producer,
he said. The USA is putting chemicals in the water to turn people gay. This is to help with population control. It has taken an unexpected turn now as a majority of frogs in the United States are gay now. This is a real theory. Look it up.
Is it really?
It is. So the theory got started by Alex Jones, who's a known kook, right?
And a cook.
I'm sure he cooked something.
I'm sure he whipped something
So here's the thing. So there's a common pesticide that was used called atrazine. And atrazine, where it was used... At least 1 in 10 male frogs that were exposed to atrazine identified. They started producing estrogen. They began mating. They began mating with males, and they laid eggs.
Do we need to make sure they're pronounced correct?
Yes,
they're a frog.
They're frog. Okay, fine. So they began laying eggs. They began mating with males, and they began producing estrogen. So effectively,
they were essentially.
Turned female,
gender.
Right? A gender.
So they're not gay.
They're not gay. Yeah.
No, I agree. I'm transitioning.
Hey, what's funny though is that America, believe it or not, I read an article where they were actually trying to come up with an aerosol spray that would make men have sexual urges immediately and tremendously to where they start just kind of copulating with each other. Believe it or not, this is
it was
real.
called Hemsworth spray because we all kind of got engaged for that dude.
So it's kind of just like an airborne Viagra.
Pretty much.
And there's no way they haven't tried to do something like that.
Of course, it's our government,
because
man.
they've tried everything.
Is it Does it work like in Looney Tunes where the smell would come and you'd float but it takes you straight to dick? And it would work for guys? And would it work for homosexual females?
Ooh.
I mean, surely it would just work
Because if I
for
could have females
right?
just float to me like that, it would be awesome. Where
Just float.
I just want to follow the scent come straight to me.
I think the
5 feet
Weird
molasses.
fog comes up. God.
I think the allure of it would fail when you're sat on the 6th floor and do it, and like 3 women float and then
Ending on the sex change and/or gay frogs, there is also no evidence to suggest that chemicals in the water can affect human sexuality or imply the U.S. government is trying to make children gay with juice boxes, as Jones claims.
I feel insane right now.
Alex, you said that?
Yeah, I just feel.
That dude's a nut.
Now, there's a lot of chemicals in the water, as we know, due to the research that was done. We know it's like everything is in there from...
Yeah, but not making people gay.
Right, but I don't know that combination yet. Is that a combination? I really would like to do more research on that.
Oh, is it like H2O? Like it's just like, it's just fluoride, but like turns out when it's put with like a little bit of chlorine, it's gay juice.
I mean, I'm saying, think about this. Think about this, y'all. I mean, they use fluoride in our water in America when fluoride is a known toxin. Hitler also used fluoride to put into his people water because he said it would make them domicile and it will also keep them from having babies that'll, kill that down there. So this is real. Fluoride is now in American water because of that reason, and you can find the information. It's literally in rat poison.
If you hit this table again, I'm gonna cut your hands off.
Oh, right. Got it. I'm sorry.
So the fluoride works to prevent birth?
The fluoride kills sperm cells.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So it makes men less potent.
Exactly. And then they say it does something to make us more dormant, more docile. You know what I mean? If you want to take over a population, you don't need aggression coming from the people you're trying to take over.
Well, Kyle in Texas's theory was to use as population control. That would pan out, right? If the fluoride does, in fact, affect your sperm.
Docile, which my wife would attest that has worked with me.
Is that why they're so afraid of the New World Order being able to make test tube babies? Because you wouldn't necessarily need sperm.
They're already doing that now.
All right, let's not get too in the weeds on that. Do we want to keep doing Twitter? I got 2 more.
we may as well crack through them.
All right, let's get through them. I said 2, I had 1. Bobby, have you ever heard of the phantom time reality? Or the phantom time hypothesis?
Phantom time. No.
All right, I'm going to read here because these names are not easily easy to read. The phantom time hypothesis is a historical conspiracy theory asserted by Herbert Illich. It was first published in 1991, and it hypothesizes a conspiracy by the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, Pope Sylvester II, and possibly the Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII. To fabricate the Anno Domini dating system retrospectively in order to place them at the special year of AD 1000. So what it's claiming is that there's 297 years that were added into the calendar, which would be AD 614 through AD 911. I guess 9/11. That's the way to say that. It's a conspiracy episode. What am I doing?
I have heard something similar.
So the problem, or it's saying that the Roman Emperor or the Roman Empire wanted to be around 1000. That's why they added these numbers. The special number, humans' obsession with round numbers is weird, so I kind of get it. But the problem that a lot of people are having with it is that in that scenario, the entire Carolingian period, including Charlemagne, is fabrication at that point because it would belong in a different era versus what it actually is in. It would also mean that we're not in the year 2019. With quick math, we'd be in the year 19...
Stalling.
1922. We'd be 1922.
That is crazy because it's a
No, dude, you'd be 1722.
Yeah, thank you. I was 200 years off.
He went back like
but it's math
80 years.
That is crazy.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
What do we think? Possibility?
Yes, very much so.
Of fucking with the calendar up?
I mean,
it's all made up anyway, right?
Yeah, like
especially at that time period.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody was fucking with everything.
We literally
Some
added a
stones out,
leap day
good to
for a
go.
leap year because we fucked up the calendar at some point.
They have it's some guy on YouTube who has been doing a lot of research. His theory is the same, but
It's a dangerous sentence to start with.
right. But this guy, he said It's interesting because they're saying that it was a period of time, not too long ago, same time frame where it just seems like the kids were taken away from their parents and the parents were allowed to die off. And the kids were taught from that point forward. It was always almost like erasing the history. It's kind of like erasing the past history, getting rid of everybody.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And then they started off anew almost. And it's interesting because there's a lot of buildings, and I wish I would have just wrote down the names and stuff, because the images of the buildings, it looked like they were all in some sort of mud flood. You know what I mean? It's like the building's 10, 15 feet. You could see...
Almost like Noah? Like Noah's flood?
Kind of, but very minute compared to that. Not global per se. Or maybe it was. Because, and again, this is all theoretical, so no truth, no falsehood. But
what part of the world is this in?
This would have been in Europe.
Okay.
From the images that I saw as far as the building.
Josh, tag in.
This is your arena.
Well, as someone who's around in AD 634, I can attest that we did skip.
You have family. Did you let your family die back in...
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'll ring my mum, shall I?
Like, can you ask Nan?
I love it, man, because it's a possibility. It's like very interesting based upon just what y'all just stated. You know, here it is. We leap year. We know that's bullshit. Amongst other things, the Julian calendar. If we go to the east, their calendars are much different as far as the date, pertaining to our calendars. Everything is different. We're the only ones who changed up like that so dramatically. Period. And that was just up on one of the Roman empires who decided that that's what he wanted to do for whatever reasons, whether pagan or not. So, I mean, I won't totally dismiss it. I would say that I need more proof of it. That's what I would say.
Okay.
That's fair. I mean, especially at that time, records were not the best.
Right.
And they were only kept by the people that lived long enough to write them and or survive whatever it was.
Yeah,
whatever
like
war they were in. Yeah, it's told by the storytellers.
Huh? Oh, like Shakespeare? I can do it.
That is all I've got, minus the lizard people running the country, which at Jay Cranfield, we will get to that later, according to Josh.
Yeah.
All right, how do we want to do this? Do we want to start telling our conspiracies? Josh, Kyle, and I?
Interesting, yes.
Yeah, because we all have one each, right?
Yep.
Like, we may have several branches. I have quite a few on mine. But we have, like, branches all based on the same thing. So I don't care who starts. We're going to go all three, no matter how long this.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I just spit off a ton. So if we want to, Kyle, do you want to start?
Sure. Let's go topical with what's going on right now.
No doubt.
Area 51. We're going to be talking about Area 51.
I love it.
Okay. So the line that we've heard is that it is timeout. Yes.
No, timeout only because I want to remind our listeners we're doing a live show on September 20th. In California, outside of Area 51.
Which is not in California, but it's in Nevada.
I was in California.
Even I knew that.
I saw a really zoomed out picture of the states, and I had no idea.
Or like you're going to the real Area 51.
Yeah. You misunderstood.
He's going to a warehouse that has the number 51 inside.
The X-Files studio where they had Area 51. Go ahead, Kyle.
Okay, so the line that we've heard is that it's a military base used for training exercises. Is that a load of bullshit?
It is an extreme load of bullshit that's so heavy I can smell it 500 miles away. Yes.
Okay. All right. So if it's a load of bullshit, what the fuck is there?
What I think, from my understanding, from all the information I have gathered over my short lifespan on this here third planet from the sun, Area 51 test facility, yes, for reverse engineering of whether it have been Russian and German aircrafts. Because remember, Germany was ahead of everybody else in the war. Hitler could have won the war, period. He was working on things like the Bell. I don't know if any of y'all ever heard about that.
We'll get to that.
No doubt. So I'm going to fall back just a little bit. Just so
to steal Josh's thunder.
Just hit the reverse on the Nazi bit.
I'm going to hit the reverse real quick. But Area 51, but yes, I do believe there were reverse engineering, other things that they got from other countries, and also things that fell out of the sky. It's known that America wasn't the only land where something fell out of the sky. You know, you had Germany, they had something that fell in the woods, literally. You can still find the pictures of it. Josh, we'll get into some more of that later. You had where was it? South America, you know what I'm saying? They very much so, Mexico has always been a hotbed. I don't know if it's just the equator all the way around the globe, quote unquote, if it ain't flat. But yes, I do believe that there are reverse engineering technologies there, and they're also working on new technologies there. We have the B-52 bomber, I believe, was made in Area 51. This is the Blackbird. The Blackbird was the first stealth fighter. The long one looked like the one from the X-Men movie.
That looked like a
triangle.
That looked like
the SR-71 Blackbird, right?
Right.
It was the one that looked like no other aircraft before it, and it just so happened to get made that perfect way to be a stealth bomber.
Exactly. Now, this was made about 20, 30 years prior to it ever being sent out in the 70s. This was being created at Area 51. Way more advanced, and yet this thing was 20 years in the making, but it was here in Area 51 as they took the time to get the technology straight from wherever they was getting the technology from. Now, let's just step out to other people who have said things, workers who were there, so forth, so on. Half of them I don't believe, but there are some that I do. Was this one guy, Lazar, I'm saying his name wrong. You know who I'm talking about?
Yep.
This guy, he's very believable, and the things that he say as far as just what he saw there, everything being compartmentalized. You see a spaceship over here, you see an American plane here, then in the other hangar to be another spaceship. I believe totally in that because I believe in dumps, deep underground military bases. You know what I mean? Truck drivers will tell you about those all day because there's some truck drivers that have to deliver things to some of these places like that. And they have some of the wildest motherfucking stories you'll ever hear. But I totally believe that Area 51 is a reverse engineering, a place where they bring about new technology, fiber optics. Fiber optics is cable carries light, information carried in light, more sufficient than any other means if you're going to use a wire or cable, and yet it carries light. Now imagine that technology. Bro, we didn't have that shit. Prior to fiber optic cables, we didn't have nothing close to that. We're using light to carry data. You understand what I'm saying? That's fascinating. Where did we get that from? Nylons. Nylon is another technology that they said that was created by warming up in a scientific laboratory. You know what I mean? But I don't believe it because
she's a woman, Bobby?
Not even. Not even.
Get out of here.
Because of the ability of the nylon. There's so many things, man, that with Area 51, even now they still put money into ensuring that you cannot come 100 miles in there. You know what I mean? That is crazy to me.
So one thing that they do is that the employees that work there, they do fly them into the
what they call it, the bus or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't know
we say you don't know, right? They fly them in every day. You got people taking pictures and videos of them coming in, coming out, but nobody will break their silence. And the ones who do are usually almost near death, and the general public don't believe them at the time to tell a secret.
I don't think there is an Area 51 physically. Like I think there's
50 areas.
I think there's a base of people out there that are protecting nothing to have everybody directing their attention to a place they can't reach, and they're doing stuff like testing and all that other stuff that reverse engineering just out in public because it's not going to be seen.
It's a crazy shell game.
It's a shell game, exactly.
I mean, it makes sense. Like it's a fucking tale all its time, right? Like everybody looks over here while you're doing stuff over there.
Right.
Like I've thought that for a long time.
That's the left hand way, then while the right hand's doing
the truth is always right there in front of your face. It's the best place to hide it. Yeah. Wow, look at that, Marty. That was good.
So, did you have anything else on Area 51?
You did good, Marty.
Good job, man.
Me.
So I guess if it's out in plain sight,
It's actually
Roswell.
in California.
Roswell. Did that happen? Did a spaceship crash? Then where is it being held?
I believe so because, think about this, y'all, real quickly, Roswell, make it real short. When it crashed, the first thing they did was they released papers, and the papers that said everything about strange metals, this, that, and the third, bodies found. They went in, but at the same time, America uses high-altitude balloons to put satellites into orbit, even though they tell us they're up there on their own means. So it's not, I can't rule out the possibility of a high-altitude balloon carrying machinery to measure the ionosphere or to do some sort of project that they were trying to keep out of public eye. Another one of those black budget projects, and it fell. In Mexico, a satellite just fell, I think somewhere within a 2-year time span. This satellite fell out the sky still with the balloon attached to it. Okay, and the Mexicans, they videotaping this and everything until we came over there and got it. But again, with Roswell, I'm kind of 50-50 because still the guy who actually saw the debris, who touched the debris, right? He was like, listen, this was mendable. He said you could bend it, it comes back. He was saying all kind of fascinating things about it. He was like saying the symbols on this metal was unlike anything, period. Even if it's military, the symbols, and I'm ex-military, the symbols that you would still use, when I saw the images of those symbols, it was nothing military about that shit. Absolutely. Now, it looked very abstract, and it also looked like it was trying to say something, but it didn't look military to me by far. So I thought it was a bullshit cover-up story for something that did actually happen. But until more could be given, I'm like 50-50 because I know back then high altitude balloons were used to carry up satellites. And it's still being used to carry satellites because there's no such thing as 30,000 satellites floating around Earth. We will be able to see them all day, every day. Just like there's no such thing as a solar eclipse. But we'll talk about that later.
Okay. Okay, just a couple more questions about Area 51. One, how many people will it actually take to storm that place?
More than what they got on the internet talking about going everything right now. Y'all better come with half the nation, B. Y'all talking about Area 51. They already got missiles and lasers and microwave weapons waiting on your asses. Try it. Come. That's what the government's saying. Please, they just put it out on the internet today. Please, people, try your very fucking best to storm Area 51. We promise you, parentheses, U.S. government, that we will murder all you motherfuckers. Period.
All those people doing population control with the gay frogs are like, well, all our fucks, you're going to do it for us?
All this research gone to waste.
You're trying so hard, but really all you had to do is
been working 30 years to say this. 30 years.
All we had to do was wait for
on Facebook.
And
Oh, God.
let's say that they do get in. What are they going to find?
I think they will probably shit bricks, B. I believe that there's an underground base up under there. What you stated, I think, was really dope. But I believe that there's something underground. Again, I mentioned dumps, deep underground military bases. They exist and they're fucking everywhere. The machinery for these shits to build, the Air Force has a machine that stands, we're on the 3rd floor. The top of that, you'll probably be able to see, touching the bottom of that window, and it's this large circular vehicle that they use, and it melts the rocks as it goes through and goes down and creates these caverns that they come back in and then, build the way they want to build.
It's like a dig dug.
Exactly. So I do believe that under Area 51, there's some real shit going on. I do believe that, this is going to sound so odd, but, fuck it. I do believe that we are working with terrestrial or extraterrestrial entities in these dumps, these deep underground military bases, like the one up under Area 51. And there's a base near Area 51.
Working with them, like in partnership?
So it's cohesive?
Yeah, I believe so. In some cases, because again, think about this for a minute. If I'm an overlord of you, it's nothing you could do to me. I'm an intergalactical,
Where are the Overlordians from? Where are the Overlordians from?
I want to say
Overlord? From Overlord?
I'm sure he's just leaning it as in like an overlord.
I'm being a dick.
These evil bastards, that's what we'll call them. I believe that when you have something that is, an entity that is extremely more powerful than you in every imaginable way, like Bob Lazar was saying, or was somebody, Schneider, Phil Schneider, rest in peace to him too. He was the guy who actually stated that he got into a gunfight with aliens in a dump facility. I believe he was a geologist at the time. And he was saying that at one of these areas, they have a line that you can't even cross because the vibration frequency coming from the entities are so strong that you get sick. So imagine you dealing with an entity like that, and it's nothing you can do. You either like my man, y'all help me out.
They're the 6G.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. He basically said with artificial intelligence, we're not going to be able to beat it, so we might as well join it. So he is trying to make us integrate into the internet by making us part machine. Chip.
Dude, did you guys see that? Yeah, you literally, he's like developing a chip that you put into your head and it lets you control basically, essentially you're going to wake up and know everything.
There you go.
You have access to Google in your head.
There you go. So it's not
nuts.
It's not better than Google Glass.
Yeah. You don't have to go to school anymore. You don't have to nothing.
You want to learn how to
when would you get that implant? You got to learn how to handle that kind of information, right?
I assume the elite will only get it, right?
Yeah. Oh, it would cost a freaking fortune.
It would.
Right, but you can find like
population.
insane shit on Google. It doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
But that is true.
Yeah,
Elon Musk is really
Because
doing
I can
this.
like blink and think of like nun humping. Doesn't mean necessarily that like,
Jesus,
it makes me
man.
smarter.
God.
No, but you could have some great dreams, baby.
Josh, explain nun humping. Yeah, oh my god, that's another. Ooh.
That's so stupid.
It's clean.
What does a reality be right now? Imagine if you got an entity that great and you're standing in front of this entity that great and you know it's absolutely nothing you can do. You're going to have the Elon Musk mentality. I cannot fight you, so what I'm going to do is try to join you. So that's what the ideal of what's going on in these dumps. We cannot take, how can you fight anything that's interdimensional? Anything that can move from universe to universe or just throughout our solar system, period. How are you going to fight something like that with the technology we have that is prehistoric compared to theirs? You're going to try to join them and be a pet opposed to try to fight them and just be dead.
Well, apparently that geologist probably took a rock to a gunfight at that point.
Yeah.
It's not going to be good.
Because Schneider had his two of his fingers, he said that two of the fingers got shut off. And you can still find videos of him from his talks and everything. Again, rest in peace to him. It was another brother, Bill Cooper, William Cooper. Rest in peace, William Cooper. This guy was Navy intelligence, and he took so many pictures of documentation of documents and put them in a book called, y'all get this book, Behold the Pale Horse. Please get it.
All right, making a note. Behold the Pale Horse.
Behold the Pale Horse. If you into conspiracies, this Navy intelligence dude has so much in that book of documents that he literally, back in the days, y'all saw it on TV, they had the little cameras, snap, you hide it. This dude took pictures of all kind of documents and things, y'all. Pictures that he, and he was Navy intelligence. So everything he got, he was like, fuck, the people need to know this. I can't keep it away from them all. And they killed him. But again, those two, along with Bob Lazar, those three, when it comes to this type of conversation, you have to mention their names and do the research on them because it answers those questions about what's up under Area 51, what is Area 51, who are we working in co-op with, and why are we working in co-op with them. You know what I mean? Very dope information, y'all.
Cool. Have you heard of Rendlesham Forest?
Is that in Germany?
It's in England.
In England? Is this where the group of military men walked up on a spaceship?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the forest, and one of the guys actually walked up and touched it, right?
That's what they say.
Yeah, it said strange shit started happening to him
It's
afterwards.
it's the best documented alien thing. It's like Britain's Roswell, but it was a US military base in the UK.
That's what we're talking to.
We'll get into it another time, maybe. I don't know.
It's a very interesting story,
but
Josh. Tell them that one.
it's really good.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, that's Area 51 for you.
All right, 351. Thank you, Kyle. Josh, do you want to tee off or shall I?
I can go.
Mine's more mild, I feel like, so I can do mine if you'd like.
I mean, do we want to finish off milder?
I don't know. Yours involved Nazis, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, do you want to get heavy and then get mild?
Mine lightly touches on Nazis.
Do you want to go out with a bang? I mean,
like, what do you want to do? Do you want to go?
I think
mild?
yours is going to be better, so I'm going to go.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's whatever you want to do.
Don't
We can be honest here. All right, so I brought the Laurel Canyon conspiracy, which has anyone ever heard of it?
Laurel and Yanni. Which one?
It's Yanni for the Yanni.
That's the conspiracy.
The Laurel Canyon conspiracy. So Laurel Canyon is a neighborhood in Los Angeles, and around Los Angeles. You may recognize it as the place that Charles Manson, I think, killed old girl.
Sharon Tate?
Sharon Tate, yeah, I didn't know her name. So, the basis on this conspiracy, sorry, I know you're a big Charlie Manson fan, Brett, but...
Do the research on the internet like we did.
Okay, so here's what the Laurel Canyon conspiracy is. It's about hippie culture, right? So hippie culture is viewed as synonymous with the anti-war movement, right? It was the Vietnam War, and the counterculture to that was the hippie movement, right? Free love and all that other stuff. Before the anti-war movement existed, and before the first hippie emerged, there was a women's rights movement that was going on, a black empowerment, Black Panther movement. I'm pointing at Bobby, so sorry. That seems
right on, everybody, right on.
And various other movements aimed at bringing about major changes in society. At the same time, Vietnam was about to get kicked off, right? Which has been shown now to have basically been started obviously by America, but them saying like, "Oh, you hit us first," even though they did their own hitting.
It's the common story with Americans.
So the conspiracy is that this hippie and flower children movement was created to distract the anti-war movement away from action and more into the love, the drugs, the rock and roll stuff. Part of this conspiracy is the fact that Jim Morrison, Frank Zappa, members of the band The Byrds, members of the band America, David Crosby, Jimi Hendrix even, have a direct link, whether it be parents or serving in the military.
Wow.
And guys like Jim Morrison and Frank Zappa, their fathers served as agents, not just foot soldiers,
right.
but served. They don't know their title, I don't think, because
some sort of
it was
intelligence,
secret, right? Intelligence.
No, I gotta stop you right there for 1 second, because that's a little bit more credible to me with people serving as agents. But everybody, all these people saying that they have ties to the military. Basically, everybody has ties.
No.
To the military.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's also they're also possibly they're the kids of World War II vets.
Yeah.
So there's that part of it, right? That definitely adds a little bit to it.
Didn't all of them die mysteriously? Of course, Jimi Hendrix, they said, drowned in his own wine. He held the bottle there until he died.
Yeah.
And then kept holding the bottle there.
I'll get to that too. So these guys wrote these maybe anti-government songs, these protest songs, but they weren't really actionable. And right outside of Laurel Canyon was a secret military Air Force base where they had reportedly former Nazi scientists and American scientists working together on LSD and other forms of mind control and hypnosis, basically.
MK Ultra and etc.
MK Ultra, exactly. Yeah. They said that military base was just a military film studio. So the likes of Bob Hope, Gregory Peck, Jimmy Stewart did voiceovers for that film studio, but they were sworn to secrecy. They didn't mention it to anybody, their family, nobody, of what they saw while they were there, what was happening while they were there, what they were voicing over and filming. And I think it's a pretty interesting one, but there's also the part, you said the mysterious deaths of Jim Morrison, dead at 27, Jimi Hendrix, dead at 27, Frank Zappa, don't know, honestly. David Crosby, I think, died at 27.
A lot of them died before 30. The names you called out.
Even further, when you go into, let's say, Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love, who had military ties with her family, and this was going on during Desert Storm. Kurt Cobain dies at 27. So do we think that possibly the Laurel Canyon conspiracy, in that the entire hippie free love movement was a creation to distract from and prevent from an uprising in the public?
Kind of yes. When you stated, listen, y'all, back in that time period, sometimes I want to say that Germany actually won the war. Very odd, I understand. But Germany, with Operation Paperclip, familiar?
Yep.
Operation Paperclip, it was a race between the Russians, basically Russians and Americans, to get as many of the German scientists as possible across the board. You understand? NASA actually was started with Von, starts with a V, Von Braun something, German guy. Thank you.
Sorry, I Googled it.
No doubt. Thank you, Fran. He actually had brought his creation of the rocket. I forgot what they call it over there, but when they brought it over here, I think it was the Saturn or something like that. And he helped develop that even more so we can get out into orbit and everything like that. My whole point of saying that is, during that time period, there was a lot of Germans here. We didn't know anything about it, but it was a lot of Germans here because we brought them here. You know what I'm saying? And I can see them doing those type of studies and experiments here because it's nothing more than a continuation of what Hitler already was doing, because he was into a lot of things. So yes, I can believe that. Now, as far as the hippie movement, that is very interesting if you're trying to use that as a deterrent against some sort of fist-to-cuff uprising in America over anti-war movement.
What did the government do to mostly African-American ghettos?
They Exactly what it's called. It's called a project, and that's what they did. They put us in projects
and introduced crack.
Introduced everything.
So
yes.
I think there's probably just as likely of an opportunity that they're pumping parts of the country with marijuana, LSD, acid, all that other stuff.
LSD blew up in their face, though. They didn't realize that LSD was something that was opening up dimensional portals, so they quickly removed that because the scientist that actually created that was the one that found out the effects as far as on a spiritual level. So they really went to war against LSD after they found out what LSD was.
Right, after they opened that Pandora's box
exactly.
and realized what it was doing.
It's the chemical version of the drink they make in South America,
Monster.
Thank you. You're so stupid. It's the drink out of plants and the bark so that makes you have hallucinate. It's like mushrooms and everything.
Well, like
much stronger. Right, something like that. Yeah.
They like it if they get
Peyote? You talking about peyote?
Peyote, no. This is an actual drink that they create down there. They certain leaves and bark off the tree.
It sounds like what people say happens with absinthe.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, obviously it's not, because it's not.
So, yeah, something like that, yeah. This is very interesting, man, because I can believe that.
Hi, my name's Joshua Tracy.
And I am Corwin Heller.
And we are the hosts of a statistics and sports podcast called Juicing the Numbers.
We cover the NFL, college football, MLB, and the NHL with anything that we like to talk about in between.
If you like sports and the numbers behind it, come check out our show, Juicing the Numbers, on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you find podcasts. Hit us up on Twitter at JuicingPod.
And I said, just the whole Nazi presence here in America, unknown to Americans and the things that they helped develop.
Do you think they won the war because they plea deal right?
I believe they won the war because they made us believe that we won it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because at the end, Hitler I don't think never died. I think Hitler actually made it to South America and then made it to Antarctica. You know what I mean? I believe that there was a large population, as they already found in South America, of Nazi Germany. I mean, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, whose father was an SS Nazi member, and here it is, Arnold Schwarzenegger ended up being governor of California. How does that bypass? How we bypass the Constitution?
Home of the actual Area 51.
Right.
He's the governor. He can do whatever he wants.
And he was a Terminator, bringing AI into the mainstream as the knowledge and becoming more accepted because we use AI now.
To fear in the Terminator.
Oh.
And
maybe he was fighting against his German father.
He said, and something
That's
wrong.
Austria.
Yeah, that's true.
I love it, man.
We did love the Terminator.
All right, I think that was pretty good. Josh, do you want to kick off, or do we want to do lizard people running our country, or is that part of yours?
We can just, it's part of mine. So
Okay, do your thing.
It's about to be
A lot of branches.
So, the Nazis. We started with it at the very end, and we said that there was so much to it that we couldn't really finish it in 10 minutes. So, I've got probably like 6 different topics on the Nazis, and I just want your opinion on it, like we've just done for the last hour. Just go. So, the Vril Society and the Aryans, the Aryan race, right? So, the Aryan race was supposedly part of one of 7 root races, right?
Right.
The Polarians, the Hyperboreans,
coming out of Lemuria, right?
the Lemurians, the Atlanteans, the Aryans, and 2 other root races that I couldn't find names for.
Okay.
Maybe that's a conspiracy.
Like Atlanta, Georgia?
No. So,
Shut up, Marty.
first question is, what do you think of the root races? Do you believe that they're real? And if so, do you believe they are human, or do you believe they are extraterrestrial, or where has that came from?
They are real. There's a lot of evidence to show that Lemuria existed. That I think the new thing with Atlantis, because they always every year trying to find it, is Sahara Desert. Look that up. It's very interesting, the images that they have of Atlantis in the Sahara Desert of Africa right
It's
now.
in the Caribbean. You can go there and stay.
That's what they say. 2 different areas.
Yeah, Nassau. I've been there.
Yeah. It's not bad.
So historical.
I don't think that they're humans. I do think that we're interdimensional entities. When I say that, we all get here. We all are interdimensional entities, okay? What did the fuck you mean by that, Bobby? Well, you come in this world through your mother's womb. You were not already there. What happened was your physical flesh was intermingled with a soul, a spirit, and then it was mended and came out. You're not from this three-dimensional existence whatsoever by any stretch of the imagination. You're an interdimensional being that came here. So with that being said, I don't believe the 7 root races are as we know ourselves today as human beings. No, not by far. When you even look at some of the architectural styles and just the shit that comes out that we continue to find from 10, 20, 30,000 years ago, you'll see that the preciseness of everything created, even if we go to India, I mean, just the architectural styles and some of the things that 10,000 years old is awesome.
Or like the pyramids, right?
Exactly. Also mathematically so defined that we cannot duplicate it with the technology that we currently have today, which says a whole fucking lot.
Have you been to Memphis? I believe there's a pyramid.
It's not mathematically.
Shut up, Marty.
But it is dope as shit though, right? But yes, man, I do believe in the 7 root races. I do believe that they were not human beings, and I do believe in the ancient lands of Lemuria and etc. I really do.
Okay. So do you believe that, so with them being interdimensional beings, do you believe that the Vril Society was a legitimate offshoot of the Aryans? And so like the humans and Aryans intermixed? Do you believe that to be a thing? Because they say that the Vril Society was the big part of the Hitler. It was the Nazi part, right? They didn't say that they were Aryans. They said they were wanting to emulate the Aryan race and be part of this Vril Society, and that they would do weird shit. Like the women would grow their hair as long as possible to enhance their magical powers. And that was a legitimate belief that they all had.
That right there though is not just the Vril Society. There's a lot of different places that believe that the hair attracts the cosmic rays, the universal particles that float through like neutrinos. Every day we get bombarded with neutrinos and etc. But a lot of people across the planet believe that the hair gathers this and then brings it in. And for those who are sensitive, they can use these cosmic frequencies to then be antennas so that they too can communicate with those that are just vibrating on a different frequency or out there.
That was a Native American belief in a lot of tribes.
Well,
sorry, Britt.
The thing is whether you
yeah, I know it's shocking.
Whether you believe any of this or not,
no power.
The fact that kind of belief with the hair is so commonplace across all the world, right? Is there no smoke without fire? Mike, if you bang the table one more time, I'm gonna cut off your fingers.
Cut off my fucking hands.
So it has come all the way around.
So the next question was on Atlantis. And you believe that Atlantis was a thing at one point, right? Yeah. And you believe it was as a part of the root races, not just a lone thing. So that was my next question.
Yeah.
If you weren't on board with the root races, was Atlantis a thing as a standalone? Do you think... So when do you think Atlantis was a thing? Because I don't know what timeline you buy into, because there's 8 million of them.
Right, sure, for real.
So what timeline, at what point on this planet was Atlantis a thing? And why did the Atlanteans, who lived in Atlantis, I assume, why did they leave, or were they exterminated by the Lemurians or someone else?
I want to say that most ancient civilizations speak about a global war, almost a clone of what took place on Mars. But a lot of them speak about a global war. There's still places in this world where you can find certain type of glass rock that can only be created through a nuclear blast, extreme heat, and yet it's land everywhere, just like in Kemet, or what you would know as Egypt. King Tut was buried with his scarab was made of one of these particular pieces of glass and everything. So I do believe that there was some sort of war that went on because we got arrogant as fuck. I do believe the root races all existed in the same place. The timeline would be before the deluge. What is the deluge? Before the great flood. So I would put it in as far as just based upon my own knowledge, I would put it somewhere maybe, I want to go back maybe 1 million years ago, because we're still finding things from that time period or leading to that time period that is still mind-boggling, just with the architectural style of the buildings or the hieroglyphics or the sculptures on it or just some of the tools and utensils where you're looking at, you go to Bobby, get this name right. Machu Picchu. I appreciate you all for knowing that, man. But when you're looking at those gigantic fucking blocks and just everything that they've done, and you're looking at this beautiful laser cut shit, on an area that has been in existence as far as these structures for hundreds of thousands of years, then all the bullshit seems to flush in the toilet, and now I see better. So I do believe that it was some sort of war that separated them. Why did the war come? In my personal opinion, based upon the information that I've read and gathered, is because of why man falls every time, ego and pride. We left our spirituality behind and we became more of a left-minded entities, a humanity. You know, we started to get more into order opposed to the right brain. You know what I mean? And because of that, somehow, some way, whatever happened, we got into some sort of war, but it really got big. And I can see that with men. We're very bravado. We're very egotistical and prideful. And we always want to control resources. And that's the reason why we war now. So I can see that taking place back then. But I do believe the timeline had to be somewhere along 1 million years ago. Most definitely, my personal opinion.
So, two other things before I go further into the Nazi stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Egypt. I've seen Tutankhamun's tomb. I went in there.
That is so dope.
There are several tombs in the Valley of the Kings.
Mm-hmm.
There are several of them. I've been to there in the pyramids, and there are several tombs that are better kept condition than Tutankhamun's. But his is the only one surrounded by armed guards. And you have to pay more to go in to see it.
Are you joking?
It's a fact. I've been there.
I did not know that.
You have to pay more to go see his tomb, and you have to go in and out and all this sort of shit. Do you think that could be in relation to things that could be seen in there? Because I've been in there, there wasn't anything special to me. But do you think that could be a reason why? Some kind of connection to this stuff? I'm going way off tangent here.
That's interesting.
But it was something that made me think about it when you brought up King Tut.
The fact that they can get more money off the name of King Tut because people are very ignorant to those that were much higher than him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like
He was
Ramesses
just a
and all that
child.
sort of shit.
It's the most marketable one. It's the one everybody knows.
You got King Khufu, who actually did the repairs on the pyramid, who left his name on plaque there saying, this is what I did for what was before me by thousands of years. You know what I'm saying? So you got way other names of people who kept, Egypt in togetherness as far as Upper and Lower Egypt, wherein you had invaders like the Hittites, those from Lebanon, those from Europe, everybody trying to invade. And, you got kings and queens, that held off people. So, again, I think it's for the marketability for them funds. But at the same time, there are things in them hieroglyphics that we don't understand. The thing about Kemet is that they wrote everything down on something that would not perish, and that's stone. Because we don't know how to read the writing on the wall, we're lost. But if you go back and you read some of the stuff on those Kemetic walls, you'll find Bible stories. You understand what I'm saying? And that is very interesting, for the majority of the Bible stories are written on the walls, on the palaces. And
that preceded Jesus by a lot, right?
And there was 16 Christ. But this is a whole different conversation we can have later. I would love to go into that.
Oh, that's,
what I mean? Yes.
That's definitely a different conversation.
Yes.
Yes.
We have established the theoretical evolution of the Nazis, right? The Aryans, the root race, all that sort of shit. So, next question. Antarctica.
Ooh.
So at the end of the war, after the Nazis got beat shit out of,
I feel like they did it to themselves.
Regardless of... Yes, they did, really. They got beat the shit out of by weather. Regardless of what you think of, in terms of the Nazis themselves, there was a huge amount of documented activity. Not from the Germans, but from the Germans, the British, the Americans, the Russians. There's a huge amount of documented activity that there was a large amount of movement in Antarctica, more than anywhere else, by the Nazis in the weeks before they surrendered. What were they doing there? And do you think they're still there now?
Fuck yeah.
That is the claim.
Your boy Armstrong took a picture. He went to Antarctica. I don't know if y'all remember when dignitaries went to Antarctica for some reason. The vice president...
was it when they signed the Antarctica Treaty?
No, this was after that.
Okay.
Because right now Antarctica has a bunch of international ships, destroyers, warships and shit up there. Just in case y'all didn't know, we can't go up there at all. There's no place where they are that you can go as a citizen of this globe and just roam around, because there's a lot of shit up there they don't want you to see. It was,
how did they film the movie Happy Feet then?
Shut up, Marty.
They went to the North Pole.
Oh, fuck.
It's not they bring you here, just the one-liner.
Ice is ice at the end of the day, innit?
That's this guy. So I don't even know what I was saying. So yeah,
Armstrong,
my man, he went out there with them. They took him out there for some reason, because I think it was who was Obama's vice president was
Joe Biden.
Biden.
Yeah.
Okay, Biden. And the one before that, the vice president before that, with Bush, Kerry.
That's who he ran against. Cheney was.
Cheney. Not Cheney. No, not the evil one.
Not Dick Cheney?
Dick Cheney has
Not the
caused more
penguin.
death than enough.
It was
It would have
Al
been perfect if
Gore.
he was there.
It was Al Gore, Dick Cheney.
Who was
Joe
Bush's?
Biden.
Who was Bush?
George H. Bush?
Quayle.
Yeah. Who was it? Was
Quayle.
Not the first one, his son.
yeah, Cheney
was
Cheney the whole way through.
Okay, well, when did Kerry come in? Because they took Kerry down there for some reason, but I apologize. I thought he was in
Kerry
office
ran
at the time.
against Bush.
And he was just still a senator at the time. My whole point is that Armstrong took a picture of what looked to be a pyramid down in Antarctica, and he put a caption under it. We're all in danger. Evil lives here. And then it was deleted about 20 minutes later. Germans been down there. Hitler never died. He resided down there probably till his death. The movement, they were creating bases, and they probably found something down there because in Antarctica we know there was a flash flood scenario. How do we know that? Because everything that they pull out of there that's used to be alive is still standing, still in motion, still in activity. The elephant, the woolly mammoth, they found him with food in his mouth, still chewing his food.
So you think it's like is it Pompeii?
It was kind of like Pompeii,
but with ice.
but much
As
quicker.
opposed to
Not volcano.
lava.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was an instant flash, real shit, because the evidence again is in everything that they're finding. You do not find a mammal with food still in his mouth chewing and that in his throat and going down into his stomach, frozen in ice standing up. You know, it says a lot. This evidence is what it is. But I do believe that Hitler, the Germans, they found something down there. Now, whether or not they were able to utilize it in urgency, no. That's evident. Or they would have came back out of there and whooped us. But when your man flew down there, what was this? The guy, Byrd, Admiral Byrd flew down there. He took destroyers, warships. They went down to Antarctica and damn near got destroyed and had to come back home. And they couldn't say what it was that attacked them. You understand what I'm saying? It was Admiral Byrd to say he ended up going into hollow earth because it was pulling by a tractor beam. And he was the one saying, I saw Aryans. He said that he saw Germans. You know what I'm saying? So I do truly believe that the Germans found something down there. They've been down there for a long time. And it's more interesting at this moment in time because we have so many nations with ships down there. Like real shit, can't nobody else. We done sign a treaty because we don't need nobody else saying what the fuck is down here right now. It's like crazy people like him will go down there and try to find it.
Do we think
that's
that,
too cold.
they started pushing against Russia to test the cold before they made the move? They weren't actually fighting the Russians. They were just seeing how their weaponry or their technology would work in extreme cold conditions.
Oh, that's a very dope question. Even though it might sound odd, it is very much so what some of these motherfuckers would do. But no, because Germany was already catching 4 or 5 feet of snow in the wintertime. They have their own particular countryside to like practice how to die in snow. Because
Germans have winter.
Yeah, and their
Just
winter
not a Russian one.
right.
Or an Antarctic one.
That is very much
Russia doesn't have an Antarctic one.
Yeah,
in that area that they were in.
That's a good question, Mark.
I'm not sure how cold it gets in Antarctica.
Send you down there.
Very. Let's send you on a.
Give me a number.
Let's create a Patreon to send Marty down to Antarctica.
I'll go if we get people to get paid for
So-
it. Absolutely.
Fucking GoFundMe for Marty to go to Antarctica.
Be my pleasure.
So
Fucking
my
hate
other
this
question-
humidity is killing me. I'll do whatever it takes to get
So
out
the
of it.
coldest natural air temperature in Antarctica ever recorded was negative 128 degrees.
Oh,
It's not always.
It's the one time. It's always a balmy negative 90.
I had to move cans in the beer cooler at my old job. It was fucking. It can't be as bad.
The temperatures reach a minimum between negative 112 Fahrenheit. Am I talking about? Yeah. And yeah, so it's like a negative.
Negative
lot. Negative a
112
lot.
is typically the lowest.
Yeah.
Does it get up to 0?
It's cold.
Give it a few years, it will.
It reaches a
right.
maximum of 41 degrees Fahrenheit and 59 degrees Fahrenheit near the coast. So the farther away you are from the
So
very center
coastal Antarctica
of,
is where I'm stopping.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
You want
In the
beachfront.
summer.
Because there's evil there.
You want beachfront Antarctica.
Oh God, that's too cold for me, man.
Yeah, I'm often out.
Oh,
So
John.
Antarctica was a thing. So we don't know whether it's a dimension kind of thing or whether it's something that's in there or whatever, right?
That's to be. We gotta wait for the ice because real shit. It's more triangular structures coming up out of the ice. It's more structures starting to show itself out of the ice as the ice is starting to melt. And I don't think the ice is going to stay very much longer. It's not going to replenish itself. We're moving into a whole different weather state for this globe or for this planet. And things are about to be revealed. They're already being revealed and we're not being allowed to even go down there right now. You understand? You cannot go down there and see shit. So it was amazing when they brought all those other people down there. But yes, Marty, something is really going on down there. And I do believe it's where interdimensional entities, or at least terrestrial entities that come from under the ground. Period.
That is
Okay.
Josh, not Marty. Just to be
Oh, I just called you Josh?
No, you called. That would have been better. It would have been better. If you
My bad, I'm running my mouth, ladies and gentlemen.
So, when Hitler popped himself,
So they say.
Russians were the ones that got his remains. The Russians were the ones that ID'd him, the Russians were the ones that certified that Hitler was dead, and they took skull fragments and they took pieces of him to prove that he was dead. In 2009, several scientists got given the rights to test the DNA from Hitler on the skull fragments to see if it was him.
What?
In 2009, it was proven those skull fragments were not Adolf Hitler's.
Of course not.
So,
Wow.
that's like,
Wow.
that happened, and people were just like, okay, because it was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
It was
if
too
that's
long
the
ago for
case,
anyone to care.
I've already got the answer,
Dude's
right?
fucking dead
I was gonna say, like, where did he go? But because South America, as you just said, was a huge hub for the Nazis, right? Nazi hunters made a shit ton of money by going to South America and hunting them down. Argentina, Paraguay, like, Nazi hunters made a lot of money going down there and fucking up ex-generals, right?
Yes.
That's just how it worked. But so your belief is that he went to Antarctica as opposed to South America if he lived?
Most definitely. I think
Okay.
submarine trip. If he went to South America, it was only for a brief moment to re-up the resources, then head out. You know, most definitely radio the people that's already there. Because remember, even with the Vril Society, Hitler was sending platoons of individuals out into the world looking for esoteric things. Like, people don't know just how deep Hitler was into the esoteric arts, the black magic, and etc. The black sun.
Sort of shit.
Yeah, the black sun by itself that he uses the reverse of the Buddha symbol, you know what I mean, and with his evil connotations on it. You know what I mean? As all symbols omit a frequency or vibration based upon the intent the person puts on it.
Okay. This is pretty much where I'm going to finish up this last question on the Nazis.
Uh-oh.
So, there was lots of UFO activity in World War II. Every pilot that flew up there pretty much said that they saw something dodgy. PTSD.
Well, in Europe.
Across Europe, yeah,
Gotcha.
when they were doing all their aerial fights. PTSD, hallucinations under extreme stress is generally what's been said. A lot of these pilots say absolutely fucking not. It's all on radio, it's all on transmission, all that sort of shit, right?
Mhm.
So there's been rumours since World War II, including the pilots that were flying, was that the assertion that there were extraterrestrial aliens helping the Nazis.
Ooh.
Their technology was definitely better.
Mm-hmm.
We know this factually, which is why Paperclip was such a roaring success, because they knew they were so much ahead of a lot of the other places, right?
Yeah, they fought
So-
with them.
The claim is that those same aliens that were helping the Nazis then infiltrated the US government after the atom bomb was created.
Mm.
What do you think about shadow governments, lizard people, extraterrestrials? Do you think that there is a shadow government? If you do believe there is one, do you think ETs are involved? Do you think reptilians are involved? Do you think it's just rich humans? What is your thought process on all of that, starting from aliens helping Nazis?
And why America and not England or
The atom
other
bomb.
country? Oh, because we got there first.
You got there first. And that was then, with the help of Paperclip, with all the people that came over, you developed the atom bomb, and you were then chosen as the next group for the alien extraterrestrial beings to push.
Gotcha.
The Rothschilds did a very beautiful thing. All right, so the Rothschilds were this Jewish family back in early Germany. He sent his sons out, Nathan, the rest of them, to the world. Long story short, to establish Federal Reserve banks on each continent because the Federal Reserve is a joke. And basically what they do is print out imaginary money to the countries and lend it to them, and this is how to get the countries in debt, and this is how to grow power. With that being said, the aliens. So what they did, in my personal opinion, is, and if this is that, but what we're going to do is we're going to infiltrate both sides because humans ain't shit to us, period. And let's just be honest, you know what I'm saying? We stopped here first. We met the inhabitants here. We're going to give y'all a little information. Oh, this planet got more of you bitches here. So what we're going to do, and all of you ignorant, none of you use critical thinking, none of you use logic, so you all just like to be led by dummies. Okay, well then we're here, but we're not dumb. So what I feel is that they infiltrated different societies of men, those that were industrially competent. You understand what I'm saying? So that way they can create what needed to be created to aid in, I don't know if it's terraforming or whatever the case may be, but yes, I do believe that in context that I do believe, and this is going to sound weird, I can't even believe I'm saying this, I do believe that aliens literally infiltrated humankind way before our memory will allow us to remember. You know what I mean? We can only find this information in our DNA, and that's real shit. There's too much evidence. I believe that when it comes to the Queen, Josh, you know what I mean? It's a lot of conspiracy about the Queen and just that whole royal family because there's so many question marks that pop up. You know what I mean? But then
They do look like reptiles.
She's lived long enough.
Yeah, she's lived long enough. I have no idea, but I believe literally.
She's got a UV light on her throne.
That's what it seemed like. B. She looks very like. How does she live this long? It's like they keep giving her something that makes her just sustain her life.
It's almost like she was living in total luxury with the best care that anyone could imagine.
Word, because she should be dead like 20 years ago. Like real shit, am I right? No wrong? Yeah. So yeah, I believe that aliens, I do, Josh, look, I believe that...
Don't drop your phone.
CERN. Yeah, right, I'll probably get karate Chuck Norris right here in the face, right? But like with CERN, we did not have the technology to create CERN.
I'm going to hold you on that.
Okay.
So the shadow government call, we think it's a thing, extraterrestrial led?
The shadow government, no. I think that with the shadow government, it's like the Jesuits when it comes to the Catholics. This is the very much so the shadow government that actually runs Catholicism and the papacy. You understand? It is the Jesuits. Nobody can go against that. So it's kind of like the same thing. This shadow government that we have, I think they study sociology. You know, they use that a lot because they have learned how to persuade us to think and feel whatever they want us to. So I believe in the shadow government, Black Budget Projects, the CIA, who probably was the shadow government at one point because their black budget was so tremendous and the things that came out of the CIA was so weird and wacky that you still can't believe it today. You know, they're now letting out paperwork or declassified documents of their encounters with UFOs and their research on UFOs, which I find to be like, I didn't even know that this is some shit that y'all was doing. You understand? I'm thinking it's just the Air Force and the military. So yeah, I really, without a question, without in my mind that the aliens, they've been here. We don't belong here. We were brought here. I do believe that the shadow government is working currently in co-op. You know what I mean? Why do I think that? Because they don't have the ability as of now per technology to do what they did back in the 1940s and 50s. You know what I'm saying? You have more of the American population armed with weaponry. So if the government tried to go to war with their own people, you know what I'm saying, it would be a literal massive civil war of deaths on each side because we're the best armed population in the world. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I believe in all of that shit, man. And it's unfortunate because it's almost like at the end of the day, what can you do to stop them? What can you do if you can't stop them? How do you slow them down?
So last question. This is it. This is the Nazi finale. And the only reason I have it is because you reminded me about it. No. So, you were just about to talk about the bell earlier. One, tell everybody about the bell.
Okay.
Two, do you think the bell and CERN are linked? After you talk about the bell, you can move on.
Right. Okay, the bell. So if y'all don't know, this is how advanced these motherfuckers in Germany was. The bell literally was a machinery, a ship shaped like a bell. Now imagine they have this hexagon thing. It was sitting in the woods, probably about, you have podiums on the angles of the hexagon that come into the ground. Then you have these giant power cables that ran into it. All right, so this bell was like a 1-man, 2-man machinery shaped just like this, a bell, 3-dimensional all the way around. What it did was it used, I want to say it was a Mercury clockwise, counterclockwise. And what it did was it created some sort of temporary disturbance in the environment so that the machinery can keep its integrity as it does what UFOs do at the speeds that it do it in. You understand? So basically what I'm saying is that it was able to do all of this quick blah, 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 without people inside of it, what's they call it, G-force, without dying and passing out, because the integrity of the ship and the environment inside of it was totally outside of the laws of physics around it due to the propulsion system that they were using. So these motherfuckers was trying to perfect that, and they almost did. I saw like I don't know if it's real or not, y'all, but it was a small video clip, because when America and Britain got over there, they tried to destroy a lot of shit, but it was papers and everything everywhere. They were able to confiscate a lot of shit. But they have pictures of UFOs and etc. But with this bell, it was a sharp video clip of the bell, and it was actually on. And you could just see this bitch wiring up. And some believe that it disappeared and came back in a different time. But that's a whole different story. So that is the bell. And you have to look it up. Even listeners, if you're listening, by all means, look up those 3 names I mentioned earlier. Look up the bell, because you'll be fascinated by the shit that really goes on. And it will make you question the rest of your reality.
So it's like a German TARDIS?
It was a German time machine, is what they were trying to make.
That is exactly what the intention was behind this bell, was to make it a time machine so that they could essentially control it if it goes wrong.
And it was so close. The propulsion system, think about this right now. We got free energy. We got 0-point gravity energy. Tesla already proved you can put a tether into the ionic sphere and get pure energy for the rest of your life that will power the globe. He also proved that you can pull electricity out of the fucking air. They're still proving it now. I just watched the lady take a piece of metal, wrap coils around it into a circle like so, and it generated its own energy to where she was able to light up a whole panel of lights based upon the 0-point energy. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, and why is this not public? Then I remembered that we live in America and that people would have murdered it because it would have cut into the industries that are making billion, like the oil. Fossil fuel is a fucking joke too. But anyway, that's a different conversation.
And I'm done.
There it is.
Awesome. Bobby, thank you for coming back on.
I enjoy y'all so much.
The second conspiracy episode.
No doubt.
We'll figure out a third when it works.
I mean, if we were, I've already seen Kyle tease us with Christ.
Right.
I mean, that's
I'm gonna love that conversation.
that's going to be a conversation right there.
Oh man, I'm gonna love that conversation.
That's as big as, if not bigger than the Nazis right there. The whole religion bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yes.
Any closing statements, Kyle, Josh?
Bobby, have you ever watched the show Fringe?
I love it, and I wish it never.
Okay.
I would love it. The old man was so crazy.
Oh,
B.
God. Walter?
Yes, B. I miss him, yo.
Britt, thank you for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Do you have anything?
Do you have any questions, thoughts?
I have questions about a lot of things, but
You might just have to come back for the next
I might just
episode.
have to come back for the next
Make notes.
Dope, bro.
There we go.
Bobby, we appreciate it.
Man,
Thank
I
you so
appreciate
much.
y'all. I always enjoy myself with y'all. Love
Thank y'all for listening to Sports Trebuchet Podcast. Again, follow us at Sports Trebuchet on Twitter, on Instagram, and email us. If you have any questions in particular for Bobby, feel free to get at us, and we'll pass on the word. And
Be
we'll have it
kind.
next episode.
And rewind.
All right, later, y'all.
Be kind to
Be kind to everyone.